As we continue to embrace online education, especially in the in the wake of COVID-19 and the "you can learn anything" mantra, how do you think the implementation of platforms like Khan Academy in modern education is going to evolve in the coming years and decades?
I really hope that it evolves in the direction of kind of the original mission, which was the intent of flipping a classroom is not one of saying like, oh, this is one step to pushing everything online. It's very legitimately saying like, hey, rather than having teacher time allocated towards exposition, towards just explaining the thing to the students, you can get explanations in a very, very scalable way. Like explanation is actually not the hardest part of education. So that's the part that we should maybe like try to scale and instead let the teachers focus on the very non-scalable parts, which are, actively engaging with a student, like meeting them where they are, like if they're struggling with some sort of exercise, maybe being able to, in the moment, help adapt with them. Uh, and I think it's really hard to imagine like a truly online education that's fully that way and fully scalable that's still good. Like the versions that end up working well, it'll have some notion of more like one-on-one or like few to one online tutorials, maybe over Zoom or something like that. And maybe as that gets good enough, you can have it like online, but it won't be scaled in the way that like Khan Academy type things are meant to scale. And in order for that to work, right, where you really have something where the place where the student gets their explanation is kind of decoupled from the time spent in the classroom, like you really have to change the normal dynamics of how classroom time is spent in a way that I think is logistically pretty hard. If you're a teacher, it's actually a very comforting thing to be able to say, I've got these 40 minutes. I'm going to go through every student, like the same basic kind of material in that time. Because if you have this fray of, hey, I assigned this lecture for you to watch last night, and we're going to be doing like homework related to it right now, or like have you write your essays related to it right now, and everyone's doing their own thing. It's like, how do you know if people actually watch the lecture? How do you choose which little groups you attend to during that 40 minutes? Like if someone is stuck, by what mechanism do you learn that they're stuck? If someone's just like totally coasting along, like uh, how do you recognize that? Basically, because all those questions become harder, I feel like the role that I don't know technology has to play in like pushing education forward there should be to like try to sit in the classroom and address all those logistical questions more so than the really enticing stuff, which is how do you scale explanation? And like, I can just happily live in my world where, I like make YouTube videos and the whole thing is centered around, in some sense, like scaled explanation. But if I'm really, I don't know, critically honest with myself, that's a pretty separate thing from where the hard challenge of like modern education or getting education to be able to work when it's online actually lie. And a lot of that has to do with like I just have no idea how to solve those problems. But I would hope that where the future is going is one where the talented people spend their time thinking more about those than they do necessarily about the like fun to think about problems of like I said, scaling explanation. But yeah, we can see.